Aw, shit. You better not wear those 3D glasses, son, because Michael Fassbender's dong is gonna hit you square in the face. What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Top 5 Saturdays Live with me, Chase Lee, one of your co-hosts, and the other co-host, Brian Sudfield. On this week's episode, we take a look at the top 5 Michael Fassbender films, because he's got a new movie coming out this weekend. Is it a sequel to 12 Years a Slave about his wonderful, delightful character? Shut the fuck up and sit down. Anyways, we're going to take a look at Michael Fassbender this week. It's going to get crazy. It's going to get kooky. It's going to get super strange, but that's okay. So come in, join on the fun, sit down, relax, and let's get this going. What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Top 5 Saturdays Live with me, Chase Lee, and my co-host, Brian
Sudfield.
You know what?
I don't know what's going on. It stopped, and then it paused, and then it stopped, and then it paused, and now it's back.
You know, in the almost 2 years that we've done this is the first time where Brian has botched the intro because he either... he says it's the internet. He was not paying attention, folks. So anyways, yeah, so welcome, guys. If you're new to the show, what we do is we take a look at some of the movies coming out on Friday. We will pick one, and we will honor it by picking an actor, actress, director, genre, what have you, and we'll make a top 5 list accordingly as such, and give you guys some pure entertainment, because that's just what we do here, folks. And the cool thing about this show... two things. One is live, so we have no idea what the hell's going to come out of our mouth or butthole. You know, just the normal holes on the body. And then, of course, we don't know each other's lists, so it makes it all the more fun. But before we get to the topic of discussion, Brian, did you finish your text to whoever you're trying to bang?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay.
Yes. Oh, okay. Brian, how you doing? I'm good. How are you, Chase?
That's nice that you're talking to yourself. That's it? That's all you got for me?
Well, how are you doing, Chase? Are you doing swell? Are you doing all right? I know last week wasn't the best of weeks for you, but are you doing much better this week?
Yeah, I'd say that, this week, I still don't have my medicine. My health care is still up. My car is officially gone now, and I'm taking the train for a while until I get my money back. But you know what? It's actually good, because I'm seeing my girlfriend this weekend. Of course, Brian and I are recording this on Tuesday, so you guys are hearing us from the past. Woo. Yeah, no, I'm doing a lot better this week. It just, when you kind of sit down and reflect and you're like, I can beat this thing. I'm going to rise through the motherfucking ashes and defeat this slump in my life. And you know what? It is kind of liberating and free to walk around, by the way. So try it once in a while. Ditch your car. Take a bike, walk around. It's actually quite nice. But yeah, I'm doing pretty good. But this is I think this might be the first time where I have seen a movie way long ago, which was almost a week ago, and Brian still has not seen it, the movie that we're honoring. Brian, what movie is coming out this weekend, and who/what are we doing?
Okay, this week, Alien Covenant is released in theaters. It comes out this Friday. Chase saw it. I'm seeing it as of this recording tomorrow night at a screen that's at my job, so that's fucking dope. Hopefully. We are honoring the film star, the wonderfully talented Michael Fassbender.
Big
Fazzy,
dong.
if you're nasty.
Yeah, Michael Big Dong Fassbender. It's gonna be really fun, folks. Yeah, listen. I was looking up his credits, and he's only been acting since 2001. And Brian, without looking at his list, what was his first major role?
300?
Yes.
Everything
before that, for 5 years straight, he was all in TV movies. Like, it's crazy. Like, if you look at his list, it's all TV movies, then 300, then he's kind of just exploded since 2006, and for the past 11 years. He's actually given us some really, cinematic, masterpiece performances. Like, it's actually incredible that in this short amount of time, he is actually, crushing it. And a little fact about good old Michael Fassbender. I believe him and Tom Hardy actually were in the same acting class overseas. And the reason why I know this, because I remember I forget what movie it was, but I think it was either Tom Hardy or Michael Fassbender was on the carpet or whatever, and they were kind of talking about one another. Oh, that's interesting, and you kind of look at them like, oh, I think they went to the same school of acting. Like it's crazy, but yeah. So Michael Fassbender, I'm excited to talk about him. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can tell you right now that all 5 of these performances are so fucking diverse. This just shows you the talent that's on this man. So Brian, if Michael Fassbender said he was coming out with a 90-second porta potty ad sponsored by Home Depot, would you still want to see it? Like, are you super excited?
Oh, okay. If there was a porta potty ad for Home Depot starring Michael Fassbender, I would still watch that.
Yeah, I would too.
Of course I would. And I would probably buy it if Michael Fassbender approves, ladies and gentlemen. Michael Fassbender to me is in my... I'm going to be honest, just reading this list alone, like just doing my list, I'm like, Michael Fassbender to me is in the top 5 best actors we have working today. This guy is so goddamn talented. I have to echo Chase, all the films that I picked, so versatile, so diverse. It's insane how much this guy has done. This guy has done so many great projects within the last 10, 11 years. 300 came out 10 years ago. And the guy has done so many great pieces within the last decade. It is insane. This guy is wonderful. He's a 2-time Oscar nominee. He could have won an Oscar. I'll be honest with you, when we talk about that particular film that he almost won an Oscar for, if a certain film was not nominated or didn't come out, more like didn't come out, yeah. But anyways, I am so pumped to talk about him. And honestly, when I did my dishonorable mentions, this is kind of a spoiler into that, he hasn't done a lot of bad stuff. And even the bad stuff he's in, he's not bad in it.
Nope.
So, that's a good thing. So, yeah, Michael Fassbender, fantastic actor. So excited to honor him. I just cannot wait to jump into this. Fassy, he's just a wonderful human being. And listen, clean-shaven Michael Fassbender, I totally bang. Bearded Michael Fassbender, nah.
I mean, he's not bad with the little rough edges on his face.
With a little scruff, with a little scruff.
Yeah, he's not bad. So, yeah, Michael Fassbender is who we're honoring this week. And before we get into our list, I have a feeling that, because eventually, if Brian and I continue to do the show, if either him and I are not dead yet, and he doesn't move on to bigger and better things, we will still continue to do this show. And the cool thing is, we can actually do updated list. Like, we can take an actor we've done in the past and, like, oh shit, they've had like 20 movies come out since then. Do those original 5 still rank up? And we can call it like Michael Fassbender Part 2 or whatever. So he's one of these actors to where we might have to revisit literally within 5 years, because he's always coming out with new shit, whether it be a small film or a big film. The guy's all over the place. So yeah, without any further ado, let's get this started. And I have a feeling that we will have a lot of similarities. Brian, what is your number 5 favorite Michael Fassbender film of all time, ... so far?
This is the first time I ever saw Michael Fassbender on screen. I was 13 years old. I sat in the theater, opening night, as I watched X-Men First Class. When I watched this movie, at the time, like, I'll be honest with you, while I'm not, like, the hugest fan of this franchise, I do like the X-Men films quite a bit. Not as much as Chase, but I do appreciate these films a lot more now than I did back then. When I watched this movie, I saw a young Ian McKellen in the form of Michael Fassbender. And the same thing could be said for a young Patrick Stewart in the form of James McAvoy. Michael Fassbender was the perfect choice to play young Magneto. And then that's the same. You could say the same thing when you watch Days of Future Past and Apocalypse. Like, all 3 of these movies, he's incredible. And First Class was a fun movie. This was the start to a new franchise where we saw the younger X-Men, played by so many talented actors, including Jennifer Lawrence, Nicholas Hoult, so many people, and it was just really, really well done. Matthew Vaughn directed this, coming off of Kick-Ass, and my God, what a blast. So energetic, so fast-paced, had a 60s vibe to it, which was very, very cool. Involved the Cuban Missile Crisis. First Class to me is my second favorite X-Men. Actually, no, now it's my third favorite, because my number 3 is this, and 2 is Days of Future Past, and number 1's Logan. So, First Class is a special film to me. This was actually the first X-Men movie I saw in the theater because I watched the first three at home, and then I watched Origins of Wolverine at home as well. But this one was the first one I saw in the theater, so it is special to me as someone who's now starting to become a huge X-Men aficionado. So yeah, X-Men First Class is my number 5.
I did not put this one on here. I chose another one, so I will pass for now.
Yes.
All right, so my number 5, we are recording this on Tuesday, so keep this in mind. If Brian would have seen it, at an appropriate time, he might have put Alien Covenant on his list. Listen, a lot of people are mixed on this movie. Spoiler alert, I gave it a B+. I really like it quite a bit. Borderline love it. And I can tell you one of the standouts right now is Michael Fassbender. Not only is the movie great as a whole, combining the horror and atmosphere of the first Alien, the very action-centric pieces of Aliens, and also adding the mythology and kind of this philosophy structure of Prometheus. But with Alien Covenant, and Brian's gonna know when he sees it, Michael Fassbender is fucking phenomenal. Because I'm not gonna spoil anything, because like I said, this is I don't spoil shit, but I can tell you that he puts in a lot more effort than you would think anyone would in his regards, because in Prometheus, if you have not seen it, it's been 5 years, he's an android. So with an android performance, you're dealing with someone that has to be very robotic, or maybe this AI is advanced and maybe has some emotions. What you see Michael Fassbender do in Alien Covenant, he just kind of takes a little bit of both and runs with it. That's all I'll say. But he is definitely the core of the film, and his character is core to the story. And what he did in the film just will make you just shiver to your bone. And just, it's so good. And plus, I like the movie quite a bit. I like Prometheus a lot, actually, so I don't know why people keep bitching and moaning about it, but I think it's a great sequel to Prometheus while still being a great prequel to Alien, and I cannot wait to see what they do with the other installments. But Michael Fassbender has definitely been the kind of heart of both this and Prometheus, and he does a fantastic job, and I'm betting money on it right now. As soon as Brian gets done seeing the movie, he's gonna be like, damn, Fassy, holy shit, because it's pretty insane. When you watch the movie, and it just some of the techniques, camera wise, kind of impressed me too. So, like I said, I'm tiptoeing on thin ice right here. So I'm done. I'm done talking about it. But Alien Covenant is definitely my fifth favorite thing that he has done performance wise and film wise. So all right. Obviously, I'm just going to jump to Brian's number 4 because obviously he has not seen this movie yet, so he can't really comment on it. But I guess just real quick, Brian, your quick thoughts, you love Prometheus, correct? And what's your excitement level of Alien Covenant?
I really, really dug Prometheus. I actually just finished watching the 4 original Alien movies today. I bought the Quiet Trilogy. Chase, you encouraged me to get it, and I didn't want to do it.
Hey, listen.
But I did.
This is not an advertisement for Best Buy, but listen, $14 for all 4 of them, and you get the special editions of all 4. So you get 8 versions of film for $14. It's not bad.
I know that's not bad, and I watched all 4, and I'm gonna watch Prometheus tomorrow before I go see the movie, rewatch it. So I'm hyped up. Just doing this whole marathon, I got really excited. I was already excited to begin with. The cast. I'm a huge Ridley Scott fanatic. I liked Prometheus a lot, and I'm excited that it's going back to the alien roots. So I'm stoked. It's out of all the blockbusters that was coming out this month, it was actually my most anticipated blockbuster. And yeah, that's over Guardians of the Galaxy, so sue me. And, I liked Guardians of the Galaxy too, but, I'm stoked for Alien Covenant. Cannot wait.
Yeah, I can't wait until this kind of just explodes into the movie atmosphere this weekend and have you guys watch it. But anyways, Brian, number 4, what you got?
Number 4, I wish I could put this higher because this is one of the best films I've seen this decade so far. But the only reason why I didn't do it was because of its rewatchability factor, and that's 12 Years a Slave.
Okay.
12 Years a Slave, directed by Steve McQueen, who had already worked with Fassbender twice. One of the films that he directed Fassbender in is also on this list, so yeah. Obviously, listen, if you're doing a list on Michael Fassbender, you can't discredit that particular one that he's done with Steve McQueen. This is one of the hardest movies I've ever had to watch in my life. This is an emotionally gripping movie. It's the story of Solomon Northup, played brilliantly by Chiwetel Ejiofor. Michael Fassbender plays the slave owner that he's with throughout the majority of the movie, and my God, Fassbender is such an asshole here. Edwin Epps is the name of his character, and Jared Leto was great in Dallas Buyers Club, but Michael Fassbender should have won the Oscar for this movie. This is the film that Michael Fassbender should have gotten an Oscar for, and I liked all the supporting actor performances from that year, but as great as Jared Leto was, Michael Fassbender, I thought, was the more committed. And yes, Jared Leto lost weight. He did all the makeup and all the hair and stuff, and he looked like a woman. But, Michael Fassbender, during that incredible yet heartbreaking whip scene, that's a 7-minute long take, or it's like 5 to 7 minutes. I don't know the exact minutes. It's insane. Fassbender was so committed that after he did the whip scene, he passed out. That's what I call an actor. Like, he crushed it. He nailed it in this movie. He was so terrifying. He was scarier than most of the villains in, like, these big-budgeted blockbuster movies. He was one of the scariest villains of this decade so far. Like, Michael Fassbender's performance blew me away, because at the time, I had only seen him, in, like, XMen, and that's really it. And I was just like, I cannot believe this is Magneto. Just watching him on screen, I see the character he's playing. I don't see Michael Fassbender. Fuck this guy. I want this guy to die. Just fuck him. It's a emotionally powerful performance, and it's probably, I can't say it's definitely the best acting he's done, but if people say this is his best performance, I wouldn't argue with it. This is a truly spectacular performance from Fassbender. The film is incredible. It's something that everybody needs to watch at least once. History classes around the world should show this movie. 12 Years a Slave is my number 4.
And I'm going to pass. My number 4, I'm going to go with the X-Men film that I really enjoyed him in. The end of the film could be questionable, but his family storyline in Apocalypse, I think, is better than his kind of like birth of the Magneto powers in X-Men First Class.
Yeah.
Now, I realize that Apocalypse is not everyone's favorite. It's usually the first two. I like Apocalypse quite a bit. I think it's actually a strong trilogy. Okay. Yes, an argument can be made that Oscar Isaac, as Apocalypse, is a little weak. I'll give you that. But as an X-Men film, it does a lot of things right. It brings in, the people from the first two. It also, establishes these kind of new actors as these characters we kind of like fallen in love with the older X-Men films, with Ty Sheridan as Cyclops, or what's the Game of Thrones chick? Oh, Sophie Turner as Jean Grey. So it's really cool. It's set in the 80s, so it's got like the 80s funk, 80s vibe to it. I love the action set pieces and stuff, but I gotta tell you, that family storyline with Magneto is some heartbreaking shit to watch. Because if I'm not gonna say what happens, because the movie's not even a year old, so I'll give people time to watch it. But it was such a kind of just gripping performance, especially when you think about a comic book movie. You don't think of like great performances. You think of like, okay, that was good, but it wasn't like something that kind of affected you. That whole sequence, it was wonderfully directed, wonderfully shot, and wonderfully acted to really kind of rip this emotion out of you as an audience member, and also rip it out of Magneto in his character, considering what does happen, and it kind of sets him off and goes on this path or whatever. And now, like I said, I could agree with some people that maybe that was a bit too quickly, in transition to the story. One, he's doing this, and then the next thing he's doing that. I get it. It seems like a bit of a shift, but it made total sense to me. If you're a mutant, you just cannot hide from people that will come hunt you down, and you better not have a family because they will do some damage to them. So, but yeah, I really love that the woods scene. That's mostly the scene everyone keeps talking about. But throughout, let's just say this. I like that woods scene, and that's why I'm putting Apocalypse on here. But make no mistake, he's fantastic in all three of them. When you see X-Men First Class and you see that bar scene of him like discovering his powers and really taking down these like two drunk people, it's wonderful. Days of Future Past, he's got that brilliant plane scene with James McAvoy, and they're kind of going back and forth. And then Apocalypse, he's got the woods scene. And it's just, when you see his performance alone, you see that pain and that suffering that Magneto's going through, and that's what makes him a great villain, is because you know where he's coming from. This is a Jew who was in the Holocaust, and Nazis are these people that stripped him away from his family, and they tortured him. He escaped, and he's on this revenge path to take on just people in general, people that think of him differently. And you get it, you get where he's coming from because of his past, but at the same time, he's just doing some damage, and you're just like, dude, slow that down, because the best villains are when they don't know that they're doing wrong. And Magneto truly doesn't know. He just does what he thinks is appropriate, and at some points you agree with him, and at some points you don't, and you kind of conflict back and forth like he does. So yeah, X-Men Apocalypse is my favorite Magneto Fassbender performance. So so that is definitely my pick.
Yeah, Apocalypse to me, I liked it a lot as well. I think this X-Men trilogy is great. I agree. The wood scene alone, I think that's the best acting from Fassbender in this franchise. Yeah, I totally get why you put it on the list for that scene alone. And I like the movie, so I will say it's a good pick. Excuse me.
Oh, well, thanks. All right.
I'm sorry.
Moving on to number 3.
Number 3, this to me is one of the more underappreciated films of his catalog and of the decade. Frank.
Interesting. I actually watched like 3/4 of it, and I still haven't finished it to this day on Netflix.
Jesus Christ. God damn you, dude. Oh my God, this film's incredible.
I need to finish it, I know.
It's incredible. Fassbender, this is the first time where I saw him do a comedic role, and I was like, you know what? Fassbender's got comedic timing. He's actually really funny. This performance is incredible. This whole movie, I think, is fantastic. I'm a huge music junkie, and movies about music always get to me. I admire the craft that is put into movies like this. Now, for people who don't know what this movie is, Michael Fassbender plays a musician that wears a big machete-like mask or whatever over him, and he's a musician. He has this group, and the movie co-stars Domhnall Gleeson, Maggie Gyllenhaal, and Scoot McNairy. It's directed by Lenny Abrahamson, who later went on to direct Room. And this film is so remarkable. It's very original. The songs are fantastic. It's really funny for the first 2/3, and then for the latter third, for the last act of the movie, it gets very serious. It's really heartbreaking. I'm not going to spoil anything for people who don't know, because a lot of people haven't seen this movie, which you should. It's really depressing. Like, the background of his character is actually really heartbreaking, and you learn why he put on the mask, how long he's had the mask on. It's really, it's depressing, and I didn't expect that turn when watching the movie, because I was watching it, I'm like, oh, I'm having a really good time, and then the third act begins, and I'm like, well, fuck. I guess you want me to kill myself now because of how depressing this is. Thanks, Lenny. Fuck yourself. No, it's an incredible movie. I think it's still on Netflix. I hope so, because if you guys have not watched it, it's a remarkable picture, and I wish more people got to watch it. It was big at Sundance. It was big at South by Southwest. It was big at all the film festivals, but once it hit theaters, a lot of people didn't see it, which is really upsetting. And for people who love Room and want to see other pictures from Lenny Abrahamson, you gotta watch Frank, because you watch Frank and then you watch Room and you're like, wow, this guy's Oof, God, this guy's talented. So yeah, Frank is my number 3.
Yeah, like I said, I'll finish it. But what I have seen so far, I really have enjoyed. It was one of those. I remember it was one of those late nights. I started because I couldn't fall asleep, and then I think I made it an hour in, and then I finally fell asleep. It's not because the movie was boring. It's because I needed something to help me fall asleep, and I really did need to catch some sleep before work the next day. But I definitely want to finish it because it's really weird when you look at his list and you see all these like really great dark dramatic performances, and you see like this kooky indie comedy that he did, comedy drama. So yeah, he's just he's one of the best, man. He just kind of takes different roles all the time, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, I will definitely finish it. My number 3 is your number 4. 12 Years a Slave. I remember 2013. I walk in the theater. I sit down. I knew what to expect because I had seen the director's previous work, and so I knew what was going to happen. I loved the trailers. It looked like it was going to be some really kind of powerful, raw, intense like history that's going to be played out in front of us and really kind of show us that we were shitty people. We were, and I gotta tell you, 12 Years a Slave is just, it's emotionally gut-wrenching to watch this actually unfold in front of us, and it looks like it could be something made of fiction. But then when you just sit down, you realize just the gross incompetence that humans have done with this whole with slavery in general. It just makes you sick. Like it's so disgusting that this actually was a thing back in the day, and people got away with it. And in the film, Chiwetel Ejiofor goes to a lot of different slave owners, and it kind of showed the levels of shittiness that slave owners could possibly be at. Case in point, the first slave owner was Benedict Cumberbatch in the movie, and he was like half shitty, half not. Then you get to Michael Fassbender, he's like 100% pure shit. Then you might get to an Armie Hammer character to where, wait, no, that was, wait a minute, was that?
That was Birth of a Nation.
Okay,
listen, Birth of a
guys,
Nation.
I'm a white person.
2.0. I'm sorry, that's 12 Years a Slave 2.0. I'm sorry.
I'm a white person. If you guys haven't guessed, no, in all seriousness, but like that role was very memorable too because he was kind of like a half and half shitty. So, do you blame me though? Like those movies were like 2 years apart, so just calm down.
They're the same movie. They're literally the same movie. In my opinion, they were the same movie. But
it's roughly the same. So yeah, but with 12 Years a Slave, I walked out of that movie going, Michael Fassbender deserves this Best Supporting Actor win. I thought he was disgusting. I thought he was vile. There was no remorse in this guy. Like, he would do shit that's so heinous nowadays in 2017. You go, is there any type of sympathy or some type of empathy this character has? None. Absolutely none. He does not give a shit. He will take his slaves, he will beat them, he will rape them, and it's fucking disgusting. And Brian is right about the passing out thing. And another thing was, after you shoot principal photography, it's called dailies, and you screen those dailies in front of like executives and a bunch of people that look at the footage and whatnot so they can okay it. And Fassbender actually said he did not want to watch the dailies. Like he didn't want to watch his performance because he knew how disgusting he was. But he was committed, and really showed us how terrible humans got. Because in the midst of, the comic book movies and stuff, which I really enjoy, the villains are cartoony. They have powers, they're not realistic. You know what is realistic? Slave owners. And they are some of the worst human beings in human history. And they are basically what you would expect a villain would be if you were to, like I said, pick up like a fictional novel and like you're reading like this fantasy story, and you come across like this really like harsh character, and you're like, wow, that's a really well written villain. But then when you watch 12 Years a Slave and be like, this isn't fiction, this actually happened. And it just kind of blows your mind that he really kind of tapped into this evil and really kind of showed a really great, intense performance of a guy that had no remorse. And, it's unfortunate, it's disgusting, but, hopefully we don't go back to the era, considering what we're at now. But you know what? This isn't politics. So, but yeah, 12 Years a Slave. I agree with Brian. I think he should have won that year. As much as I like Jared Leto in Dallas Buyers Club, I firmly believe that Fassbender should have won that year. And what a great category, too. Because he was in there with Jared Leto and I believe Jonah Hill as well for Wolf of Wall Street. So it was such a weird group of performances because, one's a drama, one's, almost like a drama horror film, and then one's a comedy. So it's just, it's strange, but, it is what it is. But make no mistake, Mr. Fassbender will win an Oscar one day. And it's going to be sooner than later. It's going to happen, but it was not for this. I was hoping it was going to be this for sure. So my number 3, 12 Years a Slave. All right, guys, we're getting into our top 2. We have the same top 2. I already know this. I already know what Brian's going to choose for his number 2. I already know that we have the same number 1. So, Brian, would you like to tell the people out there why you were just so... You and Terrence both. You just wanted this performance to win for Best Actor, but obviously the better one won. And for all those Revenant haters out there, I don't get you. I want to be on your level to understand. Anyways, Brian, what is our number 2?
Okay, here's the thing.
Oh shit.
I was thinking about this.
Oh no.
The film that Chase put for his number 1, I've only seen one time.
Oh shit.
I saw it so long ago that honestly I couldn't put it as my number 1 because I don't remember that film as much. But
oh fuck.
But
no.
I'm gonna be honest when I say this. I hate the Academy so much for not nominating him.
Oh dear God.
Chase is number 1. I'm sorry, Chase.
Here we go.
Sorry. Chase, I'm sorry, buddy. I love you, man, but I
Here we go.
I didn't have time to rewatch this movie because I've been rewatching the Alien movies and I've been starting to rewatch all the A24 movies for this special video that I'm making. Like, I'm trying to watch all the A24 movies, so, I didn't have time to watch this particular movie. Shame. Listen, Shame is probably...
We tried, ladies and gentlemen. Just by the way, we don't have the same number 2. I tried. I took a shot in the dark. It didn't work, but that's okay. We move on.
Top 2 films, but we don't have them in the same slot.
Correct.
So, that's a good thing, right?
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
See, he hates me now. He hates me, guys. He fucking hates me. Okay, I'll just say this right now. When I saw Shame, I was just mesmerized from beginning to end. Michael Fassbender plays a sex addict here, and his sister's Carey Mulligan. It's a heartbreaking, gutturally painful, and realistic story. And this is even based on a true story. Michael Fassbender should have been nominated for an Oscar for this movie. He was nominated for every other award for this, and he should have been nominated for the Oscar. Would he have won the Oscar? Probably not. Jean Dujardin was spectacular in The Artist. Would I have given the award to Fassbender? He wouldn't be my pick. He wasn't my favorite lead actor performance from that year. But if I had control of the Oscars, I still would have nominated him. I think he was truly spectacular here. Steve McQueen directed this, and as realistic as 12 Years a Slave may feel, this is the most realistic movie that he's directed, in my opinion. Out of the 3 films he's done with Michael Fassbender, Hunger, this, and 12 Years a Slave, this is the most realistic. This is... I mean, it's also not a movie I would want to watch again. It's a really hard watch, but it's just so powerful, so corrupt, and so mesmerizing to see Fassbender tackle a role like this. This is not an easy role to tackle. When you play a sex addict, it's super difficult. You have to be real when it comes to it, and Fassbender nailed every single second he was on screen. I think this is a marvelous movie. It's definitely one of the best performances he's ever given. I would say in his top 3 best performances of his career. Should have been nominated for an Oscar. Spectacular movie. I do want to watch it again, even though, like I just said, I don't think I can handle it. But as a filmmaker and as a film aficionado, Shame is a truly, truly just speechless piece of cinema. So yeah, Shame is my number 2. I'm sorry, Chase. I'm sorry.
Well, obviously I'm going to pass. My number 2 is Brian's number 1, and that would be the film that he rightfully did not win the Academy Award for, which I'm okay with. I am okay with that he did not win this shit. It's Leonardo DiCaprio. I told you guys this when we did our stuff in 2000 or last year actually, before the shows. Leonardo DiCaprio in The Revenant, my friends. I don't care if you like The Revenant or not, but his performance was great.
I love The Revenant, and I loved his performance. It just would have been cool if Fassi won. But then again, Leo finally won. That's it. The end. Case closed.
Anyways, Steve Jobs. First of all, I love pretty much anything Danny Boyle does. I am very fond of this man's directing style, whether you want to look at the kind of like ultra kind of like gritty horror that is 28 Days Later, or you look at the kind of really great drama in 127 Hours, or a really great drama in Slumdog Millionaire, or hell, even Sunshine, which is a really great sci-fi film if you guys have not checked that out. But Steve Jobs, this was a film that David Fincher was supposed to direct. It was also supposed to star Christian Bale, and then it switched up with I would consider great, not even like the B team or runner-ups. Like they're also the A team. Is Danny Boyle taking direction and Michael Fassbender stepping into the prominent role. And it's written by the great Aaron Sorkin, who has written such great things as like The West Wing, The Newsroom, Social Network, Moneyball. The guy is a fantastic writer. I love the way he utilizes dialogue and how it fuels the story. Nothing ever feels wasted. It's always fast-paced. It's always in your face. And for someone like a Steve Jobs, who is a technology kind of guru, I think fast-paced and heavy dialogue is exactly the type of character this would be. So it actually is a great marriage of writer and subject. But on top of Michael Fassbender's great performance, he's also surrounded himself with a fantastic supporting cast. As much as I love my boy Seth Rogen and his comedies, Steve Jobs is the best thing he's ever done. I absolutely loved his performance as Steve Wozniak, and they actually had some really great chemistry going back and forth. Michael Fassbender and Seth Rogen have great chemistry. Just let that sink in and blow your mind for a second. But this film is very unconventional. It's not like a traditional, cradle to the grave type of biopic. It focuses on 3 different product launches, and it basically just has Steve Jobs interacting with all these characters, like whether it be Jeff Daniels or Kate Winslet or Seth Rogen, and it kind of fuels his character and his growth, and also the story, while also integrating flashbacks. It's a very unique way to tell the story. It's definitely not linear whatsoever. It's linear in terms of events, but it's a very uniquely structured film. It's not like anything you would ever watch in a biopic. And I just think Michael Fassbender completely sold me as Steve Jobs, as this guy who was arrogant, who was smart, who was an asshole, but also did have an affection for other human beings, but it just took him a while to fully realize that and not act like such a goddamn asshole. It was a very complex character while also being very subtle. I really love this movie quite a bit. Steve Jobs was, I think, my number 5 of 2015. It was a very good movie. And funny story. That was an interesting double feature that day. So get this. I did Steve Jobs second, and the first movie I saw that day was Paranormal Activity: The Ghost Dimension. I saw both of those in the same day, and I actually missed like 5 to 10 minutes of Steve Jobs, because I don't know if you guys know this, but I have Crohn's disease, and so I have to go to the bathroom a lot. Sometimes I can hold it, sometimes I can't. I couldn't hold it, so I had to go to the bathroom. So I did miss like 10 minutes of Steve Jobs, but I got the essence of the whole movie anyways. And then when I rewatched that 10 minutes when I got it on Blu-ray, I was like, oh, I didn't really miss much. But that was a weird double feature, I can tell you that. But yeah, Steve Jobs, definitely an underrated Danny Boyle film. A lot of people don't really acknowledge it that much. I know it just came out 2 years ago, but I get it. When you think about Danny Boyle, you think about 28 Days Later, Sunshine, or 127 Hours. You think about all these other films, like including Slumdog Millionaire, which won Best Picture. You think about those, but I think Steve Jobs will go down as like that nice, like subtle pick from a Danny Boyle filmography. It's not like anything boisterous. It's just like it's there, but it's so great and it's so solid. I really enjoy it, and that's my plea for my number 2, which is of course is Brian's number 1, and Brian's number 2 is my number 1. So let's jump into it. I'll go first on why Shame is the better movie. Brian, listen. I agree with Brian. It's not an easy watch. You can't just like have someone over and be like, "Hey, do you want to watch this like comedy in the background, or do you want to watch Shame about a sex addict?" Yeah, of course you're gonna pick the comedy, you fucking jerk. So, but I get it though. It's heavy subject matter that you don't really want to revisit over and over again because you're seeing this guy's kind of downfall into this addiction that is sex, and even him as a sex addict, sometimes sex doesn't even satisfy him, and he has to like go and like masturbate afterwards, or he has to masturbate at work, like, or on the train. It's just it's a very it's one of those like conditions to where it's just really hard to watch because that there's this guy that wants to find love and a connection out there, but when he uses sex to just fuel his addiction, he has no emotional connection to it, and he's just doing it not even for pleasure at this point. It's really kind of sad and heartbreaking to watch. And when you have his like sister come into town with Carey Mulligan, you think it's gonna go one way with it, and you're kind of glad it doesn't. But she's a really great support system, and he does have someone in his life that can kind of help him through this and whatnot. But every sex scene that he does in this film is not sexy. It just isn't. It's like I said, it's just really, it's almost like watching a heroin addict shoot up heroin. It's not fun to watch, and that this guy is struggling. It's something he has to overcome, and that's why he has people like his sister in his life to really kind of push him in the right direction to get the right help that he needs. It's the most raw performance he has ever done. It's the best performance he has ever done. I agree with Brian. He should have been nominated that year. I don't care if he would have won or not. He should have been nominated. Because this was my first introduction in Michael Fassbender's partnership. I don't think I've seen Hunger yet. And then 12 Years a Slave, it's great as well. But Shame is the best thing they've ever done. In 2011, folks, was the best fucking year for Fassbender because he came strong with Shame and X-Men First Class. So the guy was on fire that year. He did a great indie horror house performance in a great comic book movie. Dude, that's what you fucking want to hear from your agent. Like, I booked you a comic book movie and a really small indie film. Like, come on. Also, I think it was my first or second ever NC-17 movie I actually paid for and watched in a theater. That was interesting because there were 6 people in the theater, and I swear to God, one guy was behind me, 3 rows back in a trench coat. I am not making this up. He came in all creepy and stuff, and I was like, oh shit. So I'll guarantee you he was doing some fapping and fap to Fassbender's dick. And speaking of that, that was his on-screen debut of his penis. So if you're wondering what Michael Fassbender's penis looks like, you can watch Shame. But in all seriousness, though, the film is really kind of, like I said, raw. It's intense. It really kind of shows addiction, like Brian said, in this like kind of realistic manner, and it's not something that's Hollywoodized. It is something that it looks like someone that would have sex addiction that they would be going through. And so I thought it was just a really great kind of performance, or really kind of just stripped down, bare bones type of performance where Fassbender is so good at what he does that you have to be in the right mindset, whether it's a slave owner or you're playing someone that's addicted to sex and doesn't seem to be enjoying it. Like, that's really kind of hard to portray, and there's a lot of great intimate close-ups on his face and just how he's feeling and how he looks when he's doing these acts, and like I say, he's not enjoying himself. So it's just, like I said, it just hits you in your heart and just rips it out, and you just feel so bad for him, but at the same time, like, you want him to get the right help so he doesn't feel this way anymore, and he can actually go connect with someone on more than just a physical level, but also an emotional one. So, that is my case for my number one pick for Shame. Brian, spin it back at me, boy. Why is Steve Jobs your number one?
Well, A, it's fresher in my memory, and B, I like this movie more than Shame. Steve Jobs, to me, this team alone just is marvelous. When you have the talent of director Danny Boyle, writer Aaron Sorkin, and actors such as Fassbender, Kate Winslet, Seth Rogen, and Jeff Daniels, you know that you're in for quite a ride of a movie. And this was one of the best of 2015. I think it was my number 4 or 5. I don't remember. It was in my top 5, I remember. I love this movie so much. And it blew me away. Like, I was going into it expecting so many great things. And when the movie began, I was like, I'm sure it's going to be slow, and I don't know if I'm going to like it. I loved it. I have a friend that's a film critic, and she just graduated from my college. She hated this movie. She claims it's annoying, and you know what? I love her, but fuck. How the fuck could you say it's annoying? How the fuck could you say it's uninteresting? I mean, what the fuck is going on? Listen, I understand if you want a full-on biopic of Steve Jobs, and you know what? I wish we got that, but you know what? I like the way they did this movie. I like how it was a 3-act structure, and like when the movie began, he was already famous. I like how it opens up, and he's already famous. I love that, and maybe it wouldn't have worked if it was done by someone else, but with Danny Boyle directing it, it worked. And Danny Boyle, I have to agree with you, Chase. It is one of the more underrated films of his catalog, and to be quite honest, when you watch it, it doesn't feel like a Danny Boyle movie. You don't really see anything in it that feels Danny Boyle-y. And that may sound like a cliche statement, but in all honesty, as I was watching, I'm like, I don't feel like this is Danny Boyle. It feels like it's someone else, but you know what? I could see some of Danny Boyle's flair to it. And Aaron Sorkin's script, incredible, the best screenplay of 2015, should have been nominated, should have won, but you know what? Fuck me, right? Fassbender, incredible. And look, as much as I would have loved to have him win, it was Leo's year to begin with. Fassbender was the second one in line. If The Revenant didn't come out in 2015, Michael Fassbender would have won the Oscar, and that's a given fact. I mean, he was my second favorite lead actor performance of the year. I think he was a lot of people's second favorite lead actor performance of that year. And honestly, did anyone else in that category have a chance?
No.
Exactly. No one else did. So, Fassbender was the only one. And if The Revenant was just a good movie and just a good performance, Fassbender could have won. But hey, you know what? It's in the past, and I'm happy Leo won because Leo's my favorite actor. This movie's just incredible, and I just love the emotion that is put into Fassbender's performance. Like, he puts the anger, he puts the rage, he puts the despicableness of Steve Jobs into him. And, coming from someone who doesn't look or sound like Steve Jobs, that's brilliant. And you know what? At first when he was cast, I'm like, you know what? It's a shame they couldn't have picked someone that looked like him. But as long as they pick a good actor to play him, that's all that matters. And, if they've done this before in the past, where they make biopics of people, where they cast people who don't look or sound anything like the particular person they're playing, and Fassbender portrayed this guy so perfectly well, I think Steve Jobs would be proud right now seeing Fassbender play him, or maybe he wouldn't. Who the hell knows?
He probably would boycott. He'd be like Mark Zuckerberg did with the social network. He'd be like, fuck that noise.
Exactly. He'd probably be like that. And, his back and forth with everybody. Seth Rogen, I mean, no one ever expected Fassbender and Rogen to go back and forth. And you know what? They did terrific. The scene where they're like, what do you do? What do you do? Musicians play the instruments. I play the orchestra. Like, that scene is incredible. Fassbender has so many wonderful sequences in this movie. I love it so much. I love Steve Jobs. This is one of my favorite films of the decade so far. And I bought the Blu-ray the first day it came out because you know what, people? Fuck all of you who didn't go see this movie opening weekend. And that weekend, I still remember, that was probably the worst movie weekend of 2015. And it's one of the worst weekends for any in movie history. Like, I remember that weekend, it was Paranormal Activity, Gem and the Holograms, Rock the Casbah. That was not a good weekend. And Steve Jobs barely made its budget, which sucks, but you know what? At least us cinephiles went to go see it, and we all loved it. So, yeah, Steve Jobs is my favorite thing that Michael Fassbender has ever done.
Hey, listen, I can't argue with that statement. You know, you were firm in your beliefs, sir, and I'm firm in my beliefs. But I will tell you that Shane was definitely a unique viewing experience for sure. Because you had the trench coat guy behind me. There was two women behind me and then like a dude in front of me. It was such a weird group of people, but I will always remember it, and I'm so glad I did because it was fantastic. Also, some other fantastic things as you know he's done that we couldn't put on the list, so we'll get to them very shortly. But just to recap, Brian's 5 through 1, X-Men First Class, 12 Years a Slave, Frank, Shame, and Steve Jobs. My number 5 to 1, Alien Covenant, XMen Apocalypse, 12 Years a Slave, Steve Jobs, and Shame. So, honorable mentions, ones that did not make it, but are definitely worth mentioning. I don't even care if he was in a small role in it. I still enjoy these films that he was in. Inglourious Basterds. Prometheus. Slow West is actually a really good one. That one
haven't seen it.
Yeah, it came out in 2015. And that was when I saw back-to-back between that and Barely Lethal, which were both A24 films. And dear God, no, thank you. Of course, X-Men Days of Future Past, X-Men First Class. And I believe that's it. You know what? I will say this. The Light Between Oceans is not a bad movie. It's just like a very blob movie. But him and Elisa Vikander both have great chemistry because obviously they'd be fucking in real life. And I really
Fassbender's a lucky man.
Yeah, he's dating Laura Croft. But listen, I like their chemistry in the movie, and I do think their performance is very warranted. So I will give The Light Between Oceans my honorable mention category, and then oh boy, does he have some shit movies? And Fassbender is one of my favorites. But before we get into that, Brian, what are some of the ones that barely missed your list?
Prometheus, Days of Future Past, and Apocalypse, Inglourious Basterds, 300, and you know, I've seen Hunger. Dude, I'm telling you right now, it's really fucking good. So, yeah. Now, The Light Between Oceans, we'll get to that very shortly because, fuck, I have a lot to say about that one.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, I mean, Haywire's, I haven't seen A Dangerous Method, which is directed by David Cronenberg, with Keira Knightley and Viggo Mortensen. Is that it? That's it. And Slow West, like I said, I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, he's only been acting for 16 years, so there's not really much to pick from. I need to see Haywire, but I saw a couple of clips from it, and Gina Carano, I mean, she's hot,
it's whatever. It's Soderbergh. It's Soderbergh.
But it's Gina Carano. She can't act, but she's hot as hell. So, you know, I might watch it for her. But yeah, I've never seen A Dangerous Method, which disturbs me because I love David Cronenberg. I never saw that movie Jane Eyre. I believe that's bigger. I never saw Hunger.
I haven't seen that one.
So
Jane Eyre. I haven't seen that one.
All right, so yeah, I guess dishonorable mentions. I will say the obvious in just a second, but Jonah Hex. Why was he even in that? And then I actually never saw Assassin's Creed, thank God, so I can't even put it on any list.
Oh, God, I can't wait to just
the two worst things he's ever done, and I will get to the worst in just a second, but I got to mention Song to Song. I don't know what is it with modern Terrence Malick movies, and people might like Tree of Life, that's fine, but Song to Song was terrible, and I do not want to watch anything else that he has done after Tree of Life. I just don't. I did not like that movie whatsoever. I thought it was pretentious as hell, and I thought all those performances were wasted. It's just, no thank you. But the worst thing he has ever done, and it will be the worst thing on my list until he does something even worse, like what Brian said, he might be in crap movies, but at least he's trying. He was trying in The Counselor, but dear fucking God, is that movie atrocious. Directed by, Brian, who are we honoring this week?
Ridley fucking Scott.
Yeah, Ridley Scott directed this piece of shit. It was written by an author who can't write a screenplay to save his life. Listen, I like No Country for Old Men quite a bit. I think Cormac McCarthy's got some interesting books that have been adapted. But he cannot write a screenplay. This movie goes all over the place. There is no focus. You don't even know what the movie the fuck is about. It's going from like Brad Pitt in one scene to Cameron Diaz fucking a windshield on a car. Then we get to Michael Fassbender crying in a room somewhere. It's so all over the place. And there was no focus. It had nothing to it. There was no weight to that movie. It's just you didn't care about anything that was happening. And once again, you have no idea what the fuck is happening. The Counselor is the worst thing he has been a part of. I'm done. That movie has crept up on me after 4 years. It was one of the worst press screenings I've ever went to. So I just absolutely hated the whole experience, and I wanted to go eat some cyanide. So, Brian, what are some Fassbender movies that you're just like, Fassbender, why do you do this to yourself?
Okay, Jonah Hex is not a good movie. That is not a good movie at all. I don't know why he did it. I mean, sure, at the time, maybe it would have been cool, but at the same time, excuse me.
That was disgusting. Thank you.
I agree. Listen, I understand what you're saying about The Light Between Oceans. I really did not like that movie. I was so disappointed with it because it's directed by Derek Cianfrance, who made Blue Valentine, the best romance, in my opinion, tied with Before Midnight of this decade so far. And The Place Beyond the Pines, which is another incredible movie. But my God, The Light Between Oceans bored me to tears. Fassbender was great in it. He was marvelous in it. He was fantastic. Vikander, I liked her in it, and I did like their chemistry, but I thought at times she was a little over the top. See, here's the thing. I hated The Counselor so much. I was so disappointed with it. I think a lot of us were, because Ridley Scott and then the cast. I mean, do you want to list off the cast? All right, here we go. Fassbender, Cameron Diaz, Brad Pitt, Javier Bardem, and Penelope Cruz. Oh, yeah, what was Javier Bardem doing with the Brian Grazer hair? If you guys know who Brian Grazer is, you know, Ron Howard's partner in crime. Oh, my God, the hair? Like, what the fuck was that
I can't tell you. The only scene I remember in that movie with Javier Bardem, they go to a junkyard and he shoots someone. And I still don't even know what the context is because I don't even know what the fuck the movie's about.
Exactly. That movie was an absolute disaster. It was one of the worst films of 2013. It wasn't the worst movie because, I mean, do you guys remember a movie called Movie Story 3? Ooh. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. The Counselor sucks, and Fassbender does try in it, but to me, the worst thing he's done came out last year, Assassin's Creed. I am a huge fan of the games, the original games. This movie let me down so much. As a fan of Assassin's Creed, I was so offended with this movie. This was not Assassin's Creed. This was the prologue to Assassin's Creed. You know, it was directed by Justin Kurzel, who made Macbeth with Fassbender, which I still haven't seen. Heard good things, just haven't watched it yet. Fassbender was passionate about this project because he's actually a fan of these games. He produced the movie, and for people who know how Assassin's Creed works, most of it takes place in the past, and then the rest of it takes place in the present. I can tell you right now, the movie was 2 hours long. Only about 10% of it took place in the past. So for a total amount of time, they were only in the past for 15 minutes. That's 3 sequences. We don't know anything about Fassbender's assassin. We don't know about what the hell's going on. We don't know anything. This movie dragged so much. It was so boring. Fassbender was really not that great here. He was okay at best, because at one point he's like being grabbed by people and he's like, I'm crazy for falling in love with you. Like, what are you even doing, Fassy? Like, what the fuck is going on? So bad, poorly done. This was, to me, the last hope for video game movies, because Warcraft was disappointing, and this was even more disappointing. This, to me, is the worst thing Fassbender has done. It was one of the worst movies of last year, and to me, it was the most disappointing movie I saw last year. So, yeah, Assassin's Creed is the worst thing he's ever done, in my opinion.
Well, that's interesting. Now I'm going to definitely stay away from it. All right, so
you better.
What about you guys? What are some of your favorite or least favorite Michael Fassbender films? Comment in the place roll my face and let me know. Brian, what are we doing next week?
Okay, next week, the 5th Pirates of the Caribbean is coming out, which is absolutely insane. Dead Man Tell No Tales. we're going to be doing something interesting. We are going to be doing our top 5 live-action Disney movies. So that not only includes the remakes they've done, you could also include their smaller dramas, sports movies, comedies, i.e. heavyweights, which I know for a fact is going to be on Chase's list, and other things that they've done. So yeah, live-action Disney movies next week.
Yeah, as a former fat kid and as a current fat kid, heavyweights will definitely be... See, there was no change in that whatsoever. I was skinny for like a total of 3 years because I got a disease, and now I'm on medicine, and now it's back. Anyways, heavyweights will definitely be on there. But yeah, that'll be interesting because that means we can do modern live-action Disney. We can do older 90s. We can do 80s. Like, there's so many different options that we can pick from. And you best believe, son, that Mighty Ducks will be on there somewhere. And that's all I'll say. Yeah, live-action Disney films will be very, very fun. So that will be next week. So, yeah. Before we go, Brian, where can the people find you online?
You guys can find me on Twitter at FilmJunkieBrian and on YouTube at Brian Sutfield.
Yeah, if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at RealChaseley. Subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can get up-to-dates on when we post these things every single Saturday for you guys, because you guys are the fucking best. And all the links in the description will be below. So, yeah, go check all that shit out. And, guys, once again, we love you all, including the 4 people that comment every single week. I love all 4 of you. But seriously, though, for all of you guys that listen in general and don't want to comment, I still like you because you still keep this show going. You still keep our hopes alive, which is very good. So I'm Chase Lee.
And I'm Brian Sutfield.
That's fucking right. And we'll see you guys next week for our honor show of Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man Tell No Tales. Peace out, everyone.